And welcome everyone to another edition of Indomitable Will. This is part 2 of a many-part series. Today we're going to be focusing on focal point, forgiveness, meditation, and the witness within. So before we get started, I'd just like to read something that comes directly off my website, kegconditioning.com. Keg Conditioning is a physical training program that centrally focuses on the development of indomitable will, thus connecting man to his witness within. Now that's a very powerful perspective. Now let's start going into Indomitable Will Part 2. I hope everything's going well for you. I hope you're happy and you're loving and things are moving forward. And if they are, by all means, keep doing the things that you're doing because you are successful. But if you're like many other people having difficulty with the negative polarization that's occurring within our physical reality at the moment, this broadcast might be something that can help you or somebody else that you care about. So for a moment, let's talk about focal points. What are focal points? Well, we know the word focal is similar to focus. And in order to focus, we have to have something upon which to focus. So focal points, when made relative to the counseling or self-help process, comes down to needs and wants. If we focus on something we want, the result may be different than focusing on something we need. So for a moment, let's take all of our wants and set them aside. And now, let's focus on what we need. What do you need right now in your life? Please write that down. What emotions do you need to feel right now? Please write that down. And again, if you don't have a pen and a paper, feel free to think along. Whether this process is a kinesthetic process, which means you're physically doing something, or you're simply listening to the verbs coming out of my mouth. As long as we're still moving forward and the wheels are turning in our hearts and in our minds, we're making progress. Who do you need to be around right now? How can you see yourself succeeding in life based on these needs? Now for a moment, please allow me to clarify a need. A need is something that you absolutely could not live without. It's something that must exist in order for you to have a loving, happy existence. In terms of self-help and how I could make this relative from me to you, I need time to meditate every day, whether it's a small 10-minute window or perhaps up to a 2.5 to 3 hour window. I need that time. I also need to be close to nature and to be in contact with nature, whether it's the earth in general, other animals, or perhaps maybe even a walk through the forest, which could also serve as a form of meditation. I also need to be around positive people because their positivity, in conjunction with my positivity, creates a symbiont flow of which to work off of. Those are my basic needs beyond shelter, food, and hydration. Love is a big part of my equation, and it enables me to be a more empathetic, compassionate human being. So now, let's move towards forgiveness, because this just may be the most difficult thing for some people to do. And when I mention forgiveness, often it's misconstrued as forgiving another, whereas in this process here, I would ask the person, forgive themselves. Forgive themselves, or perhaps, let's make it direct to you, forgive yourself for any wrongdoing that you may have done to yourself or someone else. You are imperfect, as am I. And a big part of our ego consciousness stores emotions and memories that we experience and we create. If we can forgive ourselves for negativity and simply understand this is all part of the human experience, much of our consciousness can now be elevated through the power of love and forgiveness. Simply connecting to yourself and the witness within you, whether it's by meditation, transcendental or not, making the connection to relive your life and to forgive yourself for any mishaps or wrongdoings that you may have done is the first step to elevating your consciousness to a much higher level than it is now. You may also feel free to exercise your forgiveness to others and verbally tell them and express yourself in whatever fashion you see fit to make sure that they know that it's important to you to have their forgiveness. A lot of times, asking for forgiveness is left to a more extreme nature, such as the people I've helped through many addictions. However, asking for forgiveness is something that must be done to the self in order to reach a higher state of consciousness. In a sense, we must purify our heart and clear our mind and reboot, in a sense, in order to connect and become a more loving, existing soul. So in a sense, we have to learn to accept ourselves and understand that, yes, we are imperfect, and to try to do the best we can to not repeat the same mistakes over and over. With the help of focal point thinking and acting based on our needs with consistency and the addition of forgiveness, love can conquer fear. Now, in meditation, and there are various forms of meditation, there are many different sensations that are felt that are impossible to describe with any words I might say, anything I may write, or anything I may read from another source. The only way I can possibly explain this to you is it's beautiful. And when you connect to the source, you too will feel the beauty in what I'm speaking of. How does Indomitable Will fit into focal point thinking, forgiveness, and meditation, no matter what form you choose? Well, here's how it fits. Once you've forgiven yourself, and you will know if you have or not, and your focal point is where it needs to be, and your meditation, whatever form you so choose, is adequate for you, the witness within you will become more apparent. You'll understand that no matter what activity you choose to do, you will last longer, you will be more efficient. The ego consciousness, or your conscience battling you, telling you to quit during exercise or during any difficult task, will no longer be a factor. In fact, it will be the witness within you controlling your physical shell that is your body, and you will work until you decide the work should end. In exercise terms, this will take your standard 1 set of 10 into 1 set of 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, or 30 minutes, etc. No longer will the basic constraints that you might have experienced before be a reality for you. You will see far and beyond what is anything typical. So Indomitable Will starts with the process of forgiveness. And then as your heart grows and fills with love, your ego consciousness of negativity is eradicated. And your focal points based on your needs, which are pure, become fruitful and beneficial. And all of this symbiont activity creates a flow of momentum that once it begins is difficult to ever cease. Indomitable will is the true power that we all have, that we can all tap into. The only thing a person needs is an open mind, an open heart, and the ability to allow time to work for them. We all have time. We need to make time. My grandfather once told me, take time. And now I understand. Time can work for you if you allow it to. And once you do, your work will be so efficient that you might not have to do the same thing twice, because it will be done the first time, the correct way, the way it should be done. And people will feel your energy. And whereas once you were the one asking for help, you will now be the helper of others. This is the way Indomitable Will works. Your energy will be felt by all of those you come in contact with. You could walk into a room and people will know you're there because your aura, your frequency, the tone harmonic that is you will be felt and acknowledged by those who are receptive enough to send and receive your tone harmonic and their tone harmonic. So what I'm speaking of today can change your life. Only if you're willing to make the changes inside of yourself. You have nothing to prove to anybody else but yourself. And it would be wrong for you to compare yourself to anybody else but yourself. So when looking back on your life, remember to be kind to yourself. Forgive yourself. You deserve that. And everyone that comes in contact with you will understand that, based on the emotions they feel when you interact with them. Although we do speak, and some that cannot will use sign language, emotions and sensations may be more important than the superficial forms of communication that we've grown so used to in this time. So I hope this broadcast was helpful, the Indomitable Will Part 2. It's a more deeper look inside, but it's what's personally helped me a tremendous amount, and all of those that I'm grateful enough to work with. Once again, this is Dave Lemanzik of kegconditioning.com with the Indomitable Will perspective. Today we discussed focal points, forgiveness, meditation, and unlocking the witness within. Please stay tuned for Indomitable Will Part 3. If you have any questions, comments, please write to me at dave@kegconditioning.com. Be well.